told you following up the Nissan Pulsar GTI-R, Ford Escort RS Cosworth, and Lancia Delta Integrale for the modern era was going to be difficult, you'd tell me that's an understatement. But in 2008, Toyota and TRD did just that with this cute little thing. This is a weird one, you guys. A hot hatch from the late 2000s that has been imported here into Canada. It's over 15 years old, that's the rule. So here it is, 2008 Toyota Vitz TRD Turbo M. So effectively it's a factory-built TRD car built with various TRD parts stuffed into a Toyota Vitz. It's kind of in a strange middle ground though, because this is not, it's in fact very far from a homologation hot hatch, traditionally the most hardcore ones. So no, it's not a hardcore homologation rally special. Some of the other hot hatches around this time were a lot more powerful. They were all-wheel drive. They would spit flames with nothing more than just an opened up exhaust and an intake. This is, however, a lot faster than the standard Toyota Vitz is based on. So factory, a base Vitz of this time. Of course, Vitz is the name for these over in Japan. The base engine is a 1-liter 3-cylinder engine, 71 horsepower. This one with a turbo is making, from the factory, 148 at the crank, or at least that's the number I've seen. So it's a 1.5 liter inline 4, of course transverse mounted, it's front wheel drive. As far as I know, they all came in this 5-door configuration. And of course, if you're looking at this thinking, hey Marcus, that's just a Toyota Yaris. That sounds like an incredibly boring time. There was never a hot version of the Yaris. Well, there was, and this is it. It's the Toyota Echo, it's the Toyota Yaris, same car. Super tiny turbo. I mean, the thing spools up really quick. Just over half a bar of boost, that's about 8 pounds. That is factory, so it's like a light dusting. Almost got air there. It's got a little dusting of boost and just enough to make the car kind of come alive to what you would imagine a small car like this to drive like. You guys are probably thinking 148 horsepower is not all that much, but if you think of it as an increase both from the base car with 71 horsepower and the Vitz RS, the naturally aspirated version with about 110 horsepower, that's a massive increase. That's like starting with a car that has 500 horsepower and then bumping it up to 6 or 650 horsepower. That's a big bump that you're gonna feel. So there were a couple of other variations, effectively, of these kind of rare TRD models of the Vitz, and the lower tier ones were naturally aspirated. So this still has a VVTi engine, it's just turbocharged. So of course it has an intercooler and a TRD ECU to take care of all the boost. And then all of the Vitz RS models came with different bumpers, different tail lights, sport-tuned suspension. They sat just a little bit lower. The suspension is awesome. The whole goal with the Vitz RS and this TRD Turbo M was not to make a track special. And in the original literature and press releases for the Vitz TRD Turbo M RS, it's a long name, we're explicitly saying that, hey, no, this is built to avoid compromising ride quality for your daily driving on just normal public roads, right? So they kind of had to try and strike a balance between building a car that doesn't fall apart with more than 3 degrees of steering input, which they pulled off somehow, but also still keeping to the core of what a Vitz is, which is just a fun, chuckable car that gets great fuel economy. Wow, she leans, but then just pulls right through. First impressions are good. This one's got a very small aftermarket Momo steering wheel. It feels like it's smaller than what a factory steering wheel would be like. Everything about the interior and the driving position though, it does not scream hot hatch. It does not scream, you know, motorsport specific driver feel. What it does scream is you're trying to as they say, polish a turd and try to make something that is just a very pedestrian, daily drivable, economical hatchback into something fun. But just in terms of driving position, I'm sat just a little bit too high. The shifter, actually the shifter's not in a bad spot. It's just a little bit lower down. Pedals are great. Heel towing's easy. The shifter is not what I would call amazing. It's good once you're in gear, but it's just a little bit loose. This one has also been modified by the owner, so it does have aftermarket wheels, and then he's done some blast pipes out back. That's not my style, but to each their own. And then of course he has a 10-inch subwoofer back there because, you know, it's a hatchback. Why not just let that echo? No pun intended, Toyota Echo. It's got a good punch though. This power band is identical to, let's say, a brand new Civic Si. Also a turbocharged 1.5 liter engine, just a lot heavier of a vehicle. These weigh right around 2,400 pounds. See how she pulls. Just past 6,000 RPM. 80 kilometers an hour, I'm already almost at the top of third gear. That's actually amazing. That's so much fun. It's a 5-speed manual, of course. I don't know if this transmission is different than the factory Vitz RS, but it works so well. The gears are so incredibly short, and just the added torque with the turbo, you're shifting constantly. Boost is just instant, but it's not a massive shove because it's only 8 pounds. Revs up nice though when you go to downshift. This is fun. This is about as quick as I would have expected it to be. Oh, there's some understeer, just a little bit. Does feel good though, at the very least, to have a little bit of clutch feel. You know, a modern Civic Si, they don't necessarily have the best clutch feel. They rev hang from the factory. There's just a few compromises that are baked in to cater to just your average pedestrian buying one of those. Versus here, although it's not a really hardcore homologation car, I can tell that it is not built for just the average pedestrian. No average pedestrian is going to walk into a dealer and buy this accidentally.
This is my 2009 Toyota Vitz TRD Turbo M, and yeah, I just picked it up last month, and it's been a great car, a little hot hatch, and I've taken it autocross up through the sea to sky, and it's been nothing but reliable, and it puts a smile on my face anytime you hit boost. But yeah, no, it's like a great practical car for everyday use, and I think it's very similar to a Honda Fit if you want to look at it like that.
Totally, yeah. This, yeah, I mean, there's no arguing there. Honda Fits are incredibly slow, so I'm sure if they had put a turbo on that engine,
yeah,
it would be desirable, just like this car. What is it better at? Doing those long sweepers up sea to sky? Or
definitely
autocross?
The long sweepers. It understeers a little bit too much for autocross, and that's partially the reason why I'm selling it.
Have you found any owners groups, or how difficult is it to find info on this car?
It's pretty difficult since it's only 1 in 200 ever made. The best source of information I've found has been off of the Yaris USA forum off Facebook there. The only difficult thing for sourcing parts was the rear brakes, due to the fact there were discs in the back in comparison to like a USDM Yaris. So it's really hard to trying to find brakes, but I've been told that you can try to find them off a Corolla, actually, an XRS. And try to put those on and try to get like an adapter plate for them.
That would be a cool swap, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the 2ZZ.
People actually do that. They put a 2ZZ in this car and they actually boost that motor instead. People say it's a little bit better for your bang for buck, just because buying a Toyota motor or a Corolla motor is a lot cheaper than buying a boosted Yaris motor. I know you can get them imported here in Canada for around 15 grand. And most of the times the owners in Japan, they actually change the gauge cluster out. If you can see where the microphone sits, they put a TRD kind of gauge cluster in there, just because it's my personal pet peeve with this vehicle is that the tachometer is too far on your left. So while you're driving, you can't be focused on the road and looking over when you need to shift. So they put it in that gauge center, but I wasn't able to find one because they're like around $800 for the gauge cluster.
Oh, yeah.
So it's pretty expensive to come by.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's like a Skyline price. Trying to find a Skyline gauge cluster.
Yeah.
$1,000 for an OEM cluster. So crazy. Sweet, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Every Vitz RS also came, of course, with different seats. So they hold you in a little bit nicer. These ones are good. They're still fairly basic. There's no lumbar adjustment. They're all manual, of course. Lightweight. There's no sunroof. That's lightweight and a little bit more rigid, of course. You know, it's the homologation recipe, you know, the Recaro seats, the Momo steering wheel, but just light. It's a Temu homologation car. That's what the Vitz RS TRD Turbo M is. It's a fun car, and if you find one of these at auction, you can pick them up for pretty cheap, anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000, if not less. You know, some of them higher mileage will probably sell for less than $10,000. Now, it has been pretty difficult to find exactly how many of these TRD Turbo M's they built. The owner says there's 200. I found that there's not an exact number. Toyota did publish specific production numbers for different variations of the Vitz around this time, but not specifically the Turbo M TRD. From what I could tell, various sources say it could be 200, but it could also be as high as 400. Either way, doesn't matter. Incredibly rare, as rare or more rare than a 997 GT3 RS 4.0. So that's incredibly rare in my books, even though not quite as different from a lot of the other Vitzes. Like for example, the standard North American Vitz already came with the hopped up engine that was placed in the JDM Vitz RS. So the only thing that really was unexpected about today was just how much the car leans. And that's exactly what the owner was telling me. He's like, if you put in a nice beefy rear sway bar and you put in a strut tower brace up front, something like that, just to tweak it a little bit, stuff that wouldn't necessarily mess up the ride quality. That's kind of the only thing sitting in between you and just a slightly more hardcore hot hatch. But as it sits, powertrain, the suspension as is, steering, it's a lot of fun. Super chuckable hot hatch. Does something like a Pulsar GTIR have a little bit more of a kind of raw, unfiltered feel? No question, right? But if you're comparing this to something like an MX-5, just in the way it feels and how chuckable it is, obviously I'm not sitting quite as far down. The weight balance is a little bit better in those, and of course being rear wheel drive, the dynamic is totally different. But if you go in with the right expectations, the Vitz RS TRD Turbo M is such a cool car. This is a great buy. It's a car I never really knew even existed. Let me know what you guys think. This is such a cool kind of nerdy JDM find. And yeah, this one's currently for sale. If you're interested, the owner is selling it. The links will be in the description. Thanks guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think. We'll see you next time.